Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. I'm going to do something that I don't typically use. This is a call for action. This is for the state of Texas right now. If you live in Texas, pay attention. If you don't live in Texas but know somebody, please make sure they get this information. We're going to attempt, this is a call to action from the Gun Owners of America, going to attempt to save constitutional carry for disasters. What is that? Stick by, I'll tell you what's going on, what happened, and what we as a populace need to do. So I'm going to read from an email I just got, and here we go, from Texas. This spring, the Texas House decided that they could give Texans a sliver of what was rightfully theirs, and they passed constitutional carry for disasters, which is HB 1177. I'll have links to this in the description. This bill was to allow people who legally own a handgun to carry it without a permit when evacuating a declared disaster zone or returning afterward for up to 1 week after the disaster. You know, when stuff hits the fan, it doesn't get fixed overnight, especially if it's a tornado or something like that. It often takes a long time before people are even allowed back into the area, let alone try to, get back to a normal life. This bill also allowed for carrying a handgun in a place that would normally be a gun-free zone, if that place was being used as an emergency shelter and if the carrier had permission from the person running the shelter. So if you're going to a shelter, say it was in a school and it's a gun-free zone, as long as the carrier spoke with the person running the shelter and was okay with it, not a problem. Okay, now that passes the House. This goes to the Senate. The Senate, they gutted it, basically. They thought there was too much freedom in there, apparently, and Chairman Huffman refused to even hear the bill until changes were made. What changes? Okay, the Senate version would allow permitless carry only for those evacuating in a mandatory evacuation. So the House was okay with anybody evacuating for a declared disaster area. The Senate said only under mandatory evacuations. And then they axed the time period. It would only cover up to 48 hours after the disaster. Now, how many times have you seen people not be able to go back to their house for 3, 4, 5 days after a major storm, a flood, a tornado, something like that? It's ravaged by a hurricane. You get it. You know, we've seen it. We've seen it recently. So that's the issue right now between the House and the Senate inside of Texas. And I also didn't mention, but the Senate removed that part about carrying in a gun-free zone. So if you go to a what would be a gun-free zone, say a shelter, so that you can be safe and live and have shelter, have refuge. And if it was a high school or whatever, you were not able to protect yourself under this because you couldn't carry the gun there. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up before some people say, "Oh, you don't need a gun there. Everybody's there to try to be safe and should be just thankful." I used to be a police officer in the city of New Orleans, and after a hurricane, people were evacuated to the Superdome. Okay, the Superdome opened its doors for the city to try to save people, and the people, not everybody, a good portion of them, destroyed the place. Rapes were committed, people were assaulted, and people should have had the ability to protect themselves. And that I would say, as somebody who experienced that, would want everybody in Texas to think about that. That could happen in an event in Texas if a bunch of people who are congregated in one area might not all have the same quality of life desires, if you know what I mean. We have a chance, you have a chance, Texas, to fix this right now. Both the Senate and the House are coming together in a conference committee to talk about this particular bill and the wording on it so they can pass a version and send it to the governor. So you have the House version, which is great. It's not legit constitutional carry, but it's great. You have the Senate version, which is a lot less. They're looking somewhere, hopefully they can reconcile in the middle. Hopefully they just take the House's version. But what you need to do is you need to call your legislators right now. HB 1177, the conference committee, I'll give you numbers to them in the description. Call them and let them know. I'll even tell you what to say. And I also did mention that we have 3 days. 3 days that this committee is going to be meeting. You need to make the calls now. Don't put it off. Do it right now. Pick up the phone and do it right now. You're going to want to call as many of the members as you can. It only takes like seconds per call. All right. Say something similar to this. You don't have to say this exact thing, but this will get the point across. Hi, I'm a member of Gun Owners of America, and I'm calling about HB 1177. constitutional carry for disasters. Could you please ask the representative or senator, because you're going to be talking to their aide, so could you please ask Senator Huffman, or could you please ask Representative Metcalf to only accept the strongest version of the bill in conference committee? We need to add back in what the Senate took out and pass at least some version that the House had passed. Thank you. Okay, I'll have like I said, the phone numbers for each member of the committee right next to their name. It won't get any easier. Okay, you need to do that if you want this to pass. You have to do it, because they're only going to listen to people who call them, who they're responsible for, and who can hold them accountable. I hope that you could do me a solid and pass this along to as many people as possible. If you're on forums, pass it there. If you're in Reddit, pass it there. If you know somebody in Texas, send it there. If you know gun groups in Texas, email it to them. Do whatever you can to get the word out. If people come out in mass, I believe this could be a fix here in Texas and a decent victory. Until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Good luck, Texas. Take care, everybody.